Hey guys, what is up? And I want to welcome each and every one of you back to a new video. I'm Reese Gaming, and in this one we're going to be breaking down all of the unnerfs, the reverts, the buffs, whatever you want to call them. We've got the full list of cards here. We've got 20 plus cards to talk about. I'm super excited. I'm going to be breaking down each one of those in this video. Before we do get into that, I want to apologise for the sort of delay on the upload of this. Obviously, I did say I would stick to a one video per week upload, but I was just kind of waiting for something to happen in the Hearthstone world. I knew Barons was around the corner. I knew the reveal of the unnerfs was around the corner, the classic mode, but I was just waiting for something to happen. And it was just a bit of a longer sort of, it took a bit longer for them to get it out as I expected. But apologies for that, but here we are with this video. Also, before we get going, I just want to say if you could consider liking, comment and subscribing. It turns out that only about 20% of my viewers actually subscribe to me, which is a little bit disheartening. But if you could please consider subscribing, that would be ideal. Anyway, let's get into the video.
Hey, loser!
Alright, so we're going to be starting off with Druid, and we're going to start strong with Keeper of the Grove. On the left here we see Keeper of the Grove in his current form as a 4-mana 2/2, but we are now going to see him be reverted back to his original 4-mana 2/4 state. Do I think this change will make the cards you play? I actually don't think it will. What I do like about this change is that we now have a much solid choice of silence or a little bit of direct damage if we need it. But it's a great change for the card, but I don't think it will see play in the wild format. Okay, so now we've got Ancient of Lore going from a 7-mana 5/5 draw a card or restore 5 to 7-mana 5/5 draw 2 or restore 5. So this is it's been reverted back to its original form. I made a bit of a joke about this a few videos ago when I made some predictions about the reverse, and obviously Ancient of Lore got on the list, but I think a little bit like Keeper of the Grove, it's a great change for the card, but just not a good change in general. I don't think it will see play. For example, we have Rogue that does 1-mana draw 4. This is just way too slow for the format, but like I said, good change for the card, just won't see play. And now we're on to Hunter, and wow, it is actually happening. We're getting Starve and Buzzard going from its original 5-mana 3/2 body, getting reverted back to its original 2-mana 2/1 body with the same effect. This is going to be a huge game changer for Hunter. I think Hunter having access to this card is just going to put... It's just going to be a huge power spike for any Hunter list. I think running this alongside like Alley Cat, Wolpertinger, I think is what it's called, and Springpaw, even maybe Snow Flipper Penguin, for example, just having those cards, having access to that heavy draw package is going to be huge for any Hunter list. I think Arena Hunters are going to run it. Secret Hunter can definitely run it. Beast Hunter is 100% going to be happening with Master's Call. Master's Call, you draw into this and you just go on a mad drawing spree. I actually think Starving Buzzard, it will be meta defining, which is quite a big thing to say. But yeah, I expect Starving Buzzard to be really powerful coming up in the upcoming changes and the wild format. Alright, this one's not so exciting, but we are seeing Hunter's Mark be changed back to its 1-mana form. I think originally it was a 0-mana card. Obviously, that was a long time ago, but we are seeing Hunter's Mark go back from 2 to 1. It's a good change for the card. I don't think it's really going to see play in Wild. It's obviously there if you need it in like these slower decks, maybe because it can be like comboed with like Candle Shot, for example. But yeah, Hunter's Mark being changed from 2 to 1. Nice change, but probably won't see play in any sort of competitive sort of format. Okay, so obviously this is a really nice change for Flare. Flare goes from 2 to 1 mana. Obviously this is a great card for what is going on with the wild meta at the moment. It's a really, Flare is kind of coming up in these Hunter decks as a tech for Secret Mage. So having, like their best tech against the best deck in the format being changed from 2 to 1 is obviously a great change to the card. I can't really see where else it comes up. I don't ever think you're running this just because you want to run a 1-mana draw 1. I think you're only really running this as a tech card. So yeah, it's a nice card for those matchups. But other than that, can't really see it seeing it play anywhere else. Alright, and we see Dino Tamer Bran go back down to 7 from its current form as an 8-mana card. So obviously 7-mana Dino Tamer Bran months ago was really powerful. I do think this card was changed more for its dominance in standard, so you know, as a wild player, we kind of got the backlash of this, but it was really good, and Arena Hunter was kind of powerful a few months ago. You can do the whole sort of meme thing with original Bran into this to summon 2 King Crushes, which I think is really nice when it's 7, because that's like a big 10 mana combo, almost a finisher for those slower Arena Hunter decks. So yeah, I do think it's a really, really nice change, and I do think it will push Arena Hunter back into play with this change. So yeah, really cool change for the card. Okay, so we're now moving on to Mage, and we're starting with this one. So I'm sure you are all familiar with Mana Worm, but Mana Worm in its current form is a 2 mana 1/3, and it sees 0 play, and it's been half reverted back to its 1 mana state where it saw so much play, but this time it's a 1 mana 1/2 rather than a 1 mana 1/3. So let's talk about where this card's going to see play, because it's probably going to see play a lot. Let's think about Secret Mage for a moment. It's obviously one of the most played decks and probably one of the highest win rate decks in Wild at the moment. They only have one 1/1 and that's Cabal Lackey. So I can imagine Secret Mage playing this, unfortunately, so it's going to speed up their, was going to make their early turns more consistent, which is a bit worrying. But I can see Quest Mage running this as well, just as a solid body that sort of like combos with what they do anyway. So yeah, Mana Worm will see play. I don't think we need to, I mean, obviously it's a 1/2 rather than a 1/3, so it's sticking around. It's not sticking around as much as it used to when it was its 1/3 state, but it's still going to be something you need to deal with. It's such a huge threat. If it's not dealt with, it's going to be doing a lot of damage to the face and whatever. So yeah, Mana Worm is going to see play, and you probably want to be ready for it, because I think Secret Mage is going to get a little bit better with this one. Up next, we've got Worm Weaver. In its current form is a 5 mana 3/6 with Spell Burst, summon 2 1/3 Mana Worms. That's its current form. Obviously, it's a card that doesn't really see play in Wild, but it is getting changed to a 4 mana 3/5 with Spell Burst, summon 2 1/2 Mana Worms. So it's basically having its text box slightly changed to fit with the new Mana Worm, and because of the lack of or the less stats that you're getting for that original cost, they are changing it from 5 mana to 4 mana. I still don't think this will be enough to make the card see play, but it is a 4 mana 3/5. That's really good stats for the cost. And obviously, yeah, you get 2 of those Mana Worms. I think it's a great change for Standard, but I don't think it's good enough for Wild. But yeah, it's obviously a very good change for the card. Okay, coming up next, we've got Conjurer's Calling going from 4 to 3. Obviously, it was released as a 3 mana card, got nerfed to 4 because of its dominance in Standard. But yeah, this card was really, really powerful. You used to be able to do stuff like get Arcane Giants down for really cheap. You'd Conjurer's Calling them, which would summon... I think there's only like 2 12 drops in the game. You've got Arcane Giant. I believe it's called like Flesh. I think it's not Flesh Giant. It's something Flesh something from Priest that had the same effect as Arcane Giant. I'll put it on the screen. So yeah, when you Conjurer's Call in one of those Arcane Giants, it would always summon one of those 2. And it would be basically huge stats for what you're doing. So yeah, it was a good card. Could see Conjurer's Call in be impactful in Mage. I can see that happening with this change, so we'll have to keep an eye on it. But yeah, I can imagine like Reno Mages are running this. Maybe like, yeah, Reno Quest Mage, because they can like slam Arcane Giants now and do this Time Warp, make more damage. So yeah, I can see Conjurer's Calling seeing play at its 3 mana state. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on it, but I think it's a good change for the card for sure. Okay, next we've got Dragoncaster going from its current form as a 7 mana 4/4, going back to its 6 mana state. So obviously this is a fantastic change for LPG Mage. Having the Lunar Pocket Galaxy down a turn earlier is going to be huge for that deck. And it obviously helps that deck with the more dragon package. There is another revert coming up that I will talk about in a moment that's going to help these sort of Reno Dragon decks be way more impactful. Obviously that deck has kind of fallen off a little bit, I think, since this change, since the other card change that I'll talk about. So yeah, having this back to 6 is going to speed that deck up 1 turn earlier. So yeah, really, really nice change, and will definitely make an impact on the Wild format. Alright, we're moving on to Paladin, and we're starting with Call to Arms. This is one I did not expect, but we're going to see Call to Arms go from 5 back down to 4. So it's been a while since this card has seen play, and if you don't know what it does, it basically spits 3 cards from your deck that cost 2 or less. So when you think about Paladin decks that are running heavy 2-drops, we automatically think of Even Paladin. So Even Paladin, you know, play Hero Power 1, play something 2, Hero Power 3, play something on 3, and then Call to Arms. It's going to pull all your 2-drops out your deck. It's fantastic. It thins your deck. It gives you a huge tempo swing. And for me, it feels like a mini Barnes effect. You know, Barnes is a very... It was one of the most ridiculous cards I ever printed, and it felt like when you played it on curve, you won the game most of the time. So Call to Arms is a little bit like that. I'm a little bit worried for it, but yeah, I can see aggro decks running this. I can see more slower Paladin decks running this as sort of like just a thinner deck for more consistency. Yeah, I think it's a really good card. It's actually going to push... I think this card, having this change, is going to push Paladin away from its like safety net of playing like odd Paladin and like aggro mechs. So yeah, I think it's a really, really nice change for the card. It's going to be a bit of annoying to deal with. It's going to be really powerful, but yeah, really nice change, and it pushes Paladin in a new direction, which for me is super exciting. Okay, we're now moving on to Priest. There was only one Paladin card, but we're now moving on to Priest. So we're going to see Power Word Shield be returned back to its, you know, OG original form. 0 mana Power Shield, I think pretty much saw 0 play, but we're now seeing, you know, the 1 mana, draw 1, give a minion +2 health. Like, this card saw loads of play, and it will see play again. I can sort of see, like, Raza Priest picking this card back up. Maybe, like, we get Inner Fire Dragon, what do you call it? Inner Fire Dragon Priest, and maybe that now sees play again. But I think just having Power Word Shield in Priest for any, like, decks that run, like, minion... you know, minion base is really nice. So yeah, glad to see Power Word Shield making a return. Okay, we're on to Rogue. It was obviously only one Priest card as well. So yeah, we are seeing Blade Flurry go from 4 to 2, but do not panic. We're not getting a full revert, we're getting a half revert. So Blade Flurry going from 4 to 2, and it does destroys your weapon and does it to all minions, not all enemies. So don't worry. I know when I read the mana cost reduction, I kind of pooped myself a little bit, but yeah, it's only hitting enemy minions. So I can't really see where this sees play. I don't think Kingsbane are running this because it doesn't go face, but it is there for them if they need a board clear. I can see it kind of being good against Dark Glare, because I think more Dark Glare decks are now running Sun Fury Protector to sort of protect themselves from Kingsbane. So, like, if you've got a big enough weapon, you can now, like, Blade Flurry to clear the whole board. So that's really nice, but that's whether you're not locked out by Lotheb anyway. So, yeah, it's definitely there as a cheap AoE if you need it, which I think is really nice. But I can see maybe... I could kind of see a world where we... with like Mill Rogue or like Burgle Rogue, for example, with Spectral Knife, I think it's called. I can kind of see a world where we go a bit more weapon heavy and we use Blade Flurry as an AoE because it is so cheap and it's so powerful. So yeah, I think Blade Flurry, just having it reverted back to 2 is huge for the card, and I can see a world where this comes up and sees play. Okay, now here's a change that I am really excited about. It's kind of another Barnes effect like we spoke about earlier on, but we are going to see Necrium Apothecary go from 5 back down to 4. So it was obviously released as a 4-drop. It was way too powerful in Standard and got nerfed. So yeah, this card I definitely played with in Wild for a little bit, but I don't think Wild players really had enough time to experiment with this as much as Standard did. But I do remember like aggro rogue decks running Octosari, I think is what he's called. He's like an 8 mana dude that Death Rattle draws 8. I remember, yeah, they were running that as like their only 4-drop. We also saw Anubis Sath, I don't know what the name of it is called, but once again it's on screen. It's like a Death Rattle that buffs your whole hand. There was also decks running like Deathwing Dragonlord, so you drew Deathwing and then you play like the other Deathwing and have like this high roll of pulling Deathwing from your hand. So yeah, there might be a world when even the core set comes out that you're running Deathwing and the other 2 Deathwings, the OG and the new one, that you have this high roll potential of activating Deathwing and pulling your other 12/12s from your hand. So there's like this high roll, which is quite fun. But yeah, where it's going to really see play, I think, is in those aggro lists with Octosari, and you basically go heavy on pirates, you dump in your hand, and then you draw 8 more. So yeah, you're definitely going to see it comboed with the Death Rattle weapon as well that triggers. That'll be on screen as well. So yeah, it's going to be a really good card. It was really good, and I can 100% see it come up and see play again. And now we see Edwin get reverted back to its 3-drop state. This is obviously a massive love-in for Eddie. We kind of knew he was going to get reverted back to its 3-drop state anyway when he was nerfed in the first place. This was definitely because of his dominance in Standard over the many years. Rogue has always had a really powerful classic and basic set, hence why they're bringing in the core set. But yeah, nice to know that Edwin is getting reverted back to 3 mana. It's funny because I never really thought Edwin saw much play in Wild anyway, so this was 100% enough for Standard, but it's nice to know he is getting reverted back. Alright, we are going to see Galacron be changed for Rogue. So the Rogue Galacron was, you drew cards depending on how much you've invoked, and the cards you drew would cost 0. So we are going to see that form come back into play with these reverts. So I'm really excited about that. It was one of those cards again that we never really got much time to sort of play with and enjoy. It was obviously a massive nerf for standard. So yeah, we kind of got the backlash of that again. But yeah, it's going to be a really interesting card to see where this really sees play. It's going to definitely take a little bit more time to sort of see how powerful and where this like sort of goes. But I do think it's a build around for any sort of heavy combo decks. I can kind of see Malagos Rogue maybe coming back. There was obviously the heavy Lackey deck with what's his name, Togwaggle. So yeah, maybe those decks come back, like a really high value deck. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what we do with Galacron. But with its battle cry being changed from 1 to 0, you know, things that cost 0 in Wild are usually pretty good. So yeah, I can definitely see this card coming up and see it play as well. Okay, and here's our last card for Rogue, and it's one I am so excited about. We are going to see Caverns Below go from its current form of play 5 minions, and then you get the Crystal Core, which makes 4/4s, and we're going to see it be reverted, fully reverted back to its released card, which was play 4 minions with the same name, and your minions are 5/5s the rest of the game. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, this is kind of, for me, really worrying. I think this is going to be a really, really powerful deck in Wild. It was kind of, I don't know, because the original was so uninteractive, because you kind of just watch your opponent do it, play the quest, and then just win. So yeah, it's so easy to, you know, I've been playing this card on stream. Top link in the description, by the way. I've been playing this on stream, and even with 5 minions, sometimes it's like too easy, especially with like the fly booter. So you play it and get 2 in your hand anyway. All you need to do is play that on turn 1, shadow step it, play it again, and your quest is complete. You have 4 1s in your hand that you'll just play 1, 2, 3, 4. Too easy. But yeah, I am kind of worried. I think this card is going to be like high tier 2, probably, maybe. Yeah, actually, yeah, for real. I think it's going to be like high tier 2 deck, and it's going to be really dominant in Wild. And I don't even know how you play around this. That's why it's that uninteractive. So yeah, bit of a problem. Actually, just very quickly, obviously like Stone Toss Boar and the Murloc have both been nerfed, so they don't have charge anymore. So it is slower, but you still got like Southsea Deckhand, and yeah, I'm sure there's other ways to find charge. So there are like, and obviously you can bounce Southsea Deckhand so many times with all the tools that Rogue has anyway. So yeah, it is gonna be really powerful. We'll see play. Alright, we're moving on to Shaman, and Flame Tongue Totem is getting the Revert Hammer, going from 3 back down to 2. This was obviously one that I was kind of panicking about. I think I can see a lot of decks where a 2-mana Flame Tongue is powerful. Let's start with like aggro first. I can kind of see a more typical aggro list that isn't sort of that doesn't fit into odd or even. It's just more of a, you know, general aggro deck. There are so many good 1-drops. We have like Tunnel Trog. There's the other like weaker Tunnel Trog. There's the new 2/3 coming up in the core set. There's so many powerful 1-drops. You can obviously play a pirate as well, get patches, and then you have this really powerful turn 2 where you like slam Flame Tongue as well, and then everything from there is really good. So yeah, Flame Tongue will be really good in like an aggro deck, I can imagine. And let's talk about like the elephant in the room with Even Shaman. So this is obviously super powerful for Even Shaman to have in their kit. It obviously is, I just can't help but think of like Splitting Axe. Like when you have this down and you split an axe, it's just like an ongoing threat. It's so powerful. Yeah, Flame Tongue will 100% see play coming up in the new Revert changes. I keep adding more words and words to the end of that, but yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. It's going to be really good. We are going to see Spirit Claws as well get reverted from 2 back down to 1. So Spirit Claws, when it was its 1/3, was really powerful. But let's just talk about where I see an issue with this. Obviously, we all know that Odd Shaman has kind of been fringe for a little while, but now that they've confirmed that the hero pool is the hero power totem pool is being changed, and that spell damage is being removed from that, it actually makes Spirit Claws a lot weaker. A lot of people were hoping Spirit Claws would be reverted so you could play this on 1, pick your spell damage totem on 2, buff this, make it really powerful. It's basically a 1-mana 3/3 weapon, which is really good, and then, you know, snowball from there. But, you know, having that removed from the pool makes Spirit Claws a lot weaker. So I actually think Spirit Claws is a lot more balanced now. But yeah, so it's a really nice change to the card, but probably won't see play. Right, obviously a bit of a spoiler there, you've already seen this one, but we're going to talk about it really quickly. We're going to see Invocation of Frost go from 2 to 1. Obviously Invocation of Frost is one of the invoke enablers for your Galakron Shamans, and obviously another spoiler here, but all of the Galakron Shaman cards are actually being reverted, so we're going to have, it's like another archetype for Shaman. It's definitely it's going to take a bit of exploring. I know that Galakron Shaman in Standard was really, really powerful, so it's going to be really nice to see to sort of have a little bit of time to play with this deck and experiment and see where we can make it work. So yeah, obviously Invocation of Frost is kind of the weaker invoke enablers for that deck, but obviously it's nice to see it get reverted. Okay, and we've got another Galakron Shaman card here. We're going to see the Corrupt Elementalist go from 6 to 5. Obviously, like I said, another nerf for Standard, but it's going to be really nice to experiment with this card again. And obviously, this is the most sort of the most powerful invoke card for that Galakron Shaman. So the battle cry is the Galakron invoke triggers twice, which is obviously really powerful. So yeah, when you play this, you're going to get a load of those rushes that are going to be able to attack and clear up the board and keep that board control, which that deck did really well in Standard. So yeah, it's, like I said, really nice change for the card, and will definitely be a lot of fun to experiment and see like how this deck does in Wild. We're also going to see Dragon's Pact get reverted as well. Obviously, this is one of the bigger payoffs for playing Galakron Shaman. Obviously, the payoff is Galakron. Actually, it's more your build around. This is one of the bigger payoffs. So, it's for 5 mana, you summon 2/2/3 Wolves with Taunt. And then, if you've invoked twice as well, you get to give them +3/+3. So, it's really powerful. You're basically getting 2 5 6s. So, that's like ridiculous stats on 5 mana, and you probably have invoked twice by them because of the other guy, the experimentalist, whatever it's called. I think that's what it's called. We literally just did, but yeah, really, really powerful card. Great change to the card, and will 100% see play if the Galakron and Shaman decks do see play. Okay. We're going to move on to Warlock here. They've only got one card, and it's the Fiendish Rite. So it goes back down to 3 from 4. Obviously, it's a card that really has never really seen play in Wild, but it says Invoke Galakron, which if you invoke Galakron in Warlock, it summons 2/1/1 imps, and you guys give your minions +1 attack. So yeah, it's a card that for me I'm not really bothered about. I don't think Galakron Warlock is really worth the payoff, because you're getting these imps that don't have rush, that have charge. They don't really do anything, they just sort of sit there. So yeah, it's a great cut change for the card, but for me, I can't see the deck seeing play, honestly. Okay, and now let's move on to Warrior, our final class here before we get into the neutrals. So yeah, Warrior, we're going to start with Charge. So Charge is getting Charge back. Obviously, in its very, very original form, it was like a 1 mana spell that gave Charge. And then they nerfed it, so it was Charge but can't attack face. So it basically was 1 mana, give a minion rush, although the card was called Charge. But they basically, it's not even a revert, it's like a full-on buff. Actually, no, it's like a half revert with a buff, kind of all in one. So it's now 3 mana, give a minion charge and +2 attack. Obviously, there's a lot of decks being thrown around in the Wild community about how we can make this like an OTK in Warrior. There's a lot of people talking about the 2 mana 1/4 Wind Fury Murloc, so you can like give it charge, damage it with like Inner Rage, buff it in some way, copy it, and have like these attacking. Basically, Worgen Warrior for those who have been playing long enough to remember Worgen Warrior. So Worgen Warrior, same again. It was like Wind Fury and old Enrage, and you used to be able to Wind Fury attack, and yeah, basically OTK. So yeah, I think Charge is gonna be really powerful. What they've kind of done, Blizzard are kind of clever. They've made it 3 mana, so you can't go like Frothed Berserker, Charge, Grim Patron, Warsong Commander, do the fun stuff. Like, they've made it so that's way too much mana, and I don't even think with an Emperor tick that's enough. So yeah, Charge, obviously really nice to see. It's 100% see play, but yeah, it's gonna take a little bit of experimenting to see how we can really sort of use this correctly. Okay, and now we're going to see Scion of Ruin go back down to 3 from 4. So, yeah, for me, Scion of Ruin, I think is really, really, really powerful. It's definitely a really fantastic payoff for playing Galakron Warrior. And I actually think Galakron Warrior is probably like the better Galakron deck to play in Wild, but obviously that is going to change when we see Shaman and Rogue. So yeah, it's going to be really cool to see, to see how those perform. But yeah, Scion of Ruin, really powerful. Can see like a world where you can definitely run like Ringmaster Watley, where you can draw him, and you have like his Baton as well, that like buffs stuff in your hand. So yeah, like really powerful. Can see Scion of Ruin see play again coming up in the changes. We're also going to see Bloodsworn Mercenary get reverted back to 3 mana 3/3 from 3 mana 2/2. A card like this in Wild, it doesn't, like, the change doesn't really affect what's happening. We kind of use cards like this in Wild as a finisher, as a combo enabler, so having the stat change for Wild doesn't really matter. So, but like I said, great change for the card, but it doesn't affect what the card's actually doing. It will still see play. Okay, let's move on to neutrals, and we're going to start with Leponome, one of my favourite cards. I'm pretty sure he's feeling icky. I know I certainly am, but yeah, he's being reverted back to 2-1. I'm pretty sure this is an indirect buff as well to toxic reinforcements from Hunter, so I can see a world that we actually build Odd Hunter. We go like heavy on 1-drops as another card as well that we probably want to use, and yeah, we play all these toxic reinforcements. We hero power for 3 rather than 2 because we're running odd, and yeah, we go face. Like, actually can see, I can see a world where that happens. So yeah, great change for the card. Okay, and it's actually happening. They are reverting Undertaker. So Undertaker in its current form just gains +1 attack whenever you play a Death Rattle. But in its original form, and the form it's been reverted to, whenever you play a Death Rattle, you're going to gain +1/+1. So obviously, I naturally think of Hunter. I just went into Hearths and then I typed in Death Rattle and tried to have a look what other decks could run like Chief Death Rattles. But I think naturally Hunter is the place. You could run like Druid, put in Aggro Druid, find a place to run like Acorn Bearer. You can like run Haunted Creeper. There's like other stuff you can do, but I think Hunter like naturally is the place, especially with like the Leponome change. Toxic Reinforcements is going to summon those as well. It's definitely the place for it, Hunter, and I can see a world where this aggro face Hunter, maybe it is Odd Hunter like I said, makes a return. So yeah, Undertaker, really powerful card if it's like in the right deck, and it could be problematic going forward. Yeah, but like I said, I really do like the change to the card. Alright, we're also going to see Bone Mare go from 8 to 7, exactly the same text box. So Bone Mare, like back in the day, was really powerful. I can imagine, like, I remember how dominant it was. Like, I remember just how good it was in Spiteful Priest. That's kind of the only memory I have of it. And like Aggro Rogue, like it was really good. And I can see kind of a world where we run this again. I could, like, it's like odd cost now, and odd cost decks are usually quite aggressive, so I can see a world where like a top end, like Aggro Rogue, maybe Odd Paladin runs this. So yeah, Bone Mare's really good, and I'm trying to keep these neutral reviews quite short and sweet, but yeah, I can see Bone Mare being quite good. Frenzied Fellwing is also getting a revert, going back to its 4 mana 3/3, although it was never really 4 mana, it was basically 0 mana, but yeah, really nice change. Can see aggro decks picking this back up again. Maybe it's like your Zoo list, maybe your aggro druids. They used to run this as well. Maybe, yeah, like aggro hunters might start running this again. I remember even Hunter used to run this. So yeah, definitely can see Frenzy's Fairwind making a return now that it's got a little bit more, much bigger stats for the cost. So yeah, could see Frenzy Fairwind making a return for sure. We're also going to see Knife Juggler get reverted back to its 2 mana 3/2. I unfortunately don't think Knife Juggler is good enough to see play. But I kind of say that, although I could see a world where, I mentioned it earlier with Call to Arms, I could see a world where we run this in like Even Paladin with, yeah, like Call to Arms, pull in Knife Juggler, your hero power +1, you have all these dude generators, like, could actually see that in play. But yeah, Knife Juggler for me, it's too slow for Wild now, but might come up and see play, maybe. Here's one I honestly did not expect at all, but they are going to be reverting Arcane Golem back to its 3 mana 4/2 charge, and obviously the mana crystal ability there as well. I really don't know why they've done this. They kind of proven that they don't want charge in the game, but my only sort of direction that my brain is telling me is they've removed the sort of cheaper charge minions, you know, like the 1-drops or 2-drops, and maybe this is their way of keeping charge in the game, but at a healthier mana cost. So yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, I think I can't help but think of the Face Hunter decks again running this, but maybe this is like our, like, I don't know, maybe like with this Quest Rogue, maybe this is like our cheap charge minion now. Like, yeah, it's interesting. It's gonna be really interesting to see what we do with this. But yeah, it's like, I just can't believe they did it, honestly. But yeah, like aggro decks, like odd decks are going to be running this. It's kind of scary, but yeah, I really like the change to the card though for sure, and it's going to push aggro decks a little bit more. But hopefully the slower decks can react to that and find, you know, like shift their game plan to deal with those decks. Here's a change I am very excited for. We're going to see Saronite Chain Gang go from summoning another one to summoning a copy. Now this might, for those who are kind of unfamiliar with this, basically what happened is if you ever like hand buffed the current form, you would like hand buff it, and then it would just summon like another 2/3. But when it summons a copy, anything that you buff in your hand, for example, also goes over. So yeah, I can see hand buff Paladin being really powerful coming up, especially with the new cards that are coming up in the core set. I've already made a video about those, so you can go back and watch it. But yeah, you know, I can really see a world where like hand buff Paladin is really powerful. Obviously, naturally, when you think of Saronite, you think of Shudderwock, so I can see a world where you just run this over Doppelgangster, and it's just better. You get Torn, it's cheaper, like it does exactly what you want it to do. So yeah, Saronite Chain Gang, really, really awesome change. I'm really happy that it's back, and definitely will see play for sure. I'm not super pleased about this buff. We do see Bad Luck Albatross go from 4 back down to 3. Kind of worries me, but it's a, you know, like an odd cost tech card to deal with those Reno decks, for example, like Raza Priest, Reno Mage, and whatever else is being like seen played, Reno Lock. But yeah, what kind of annoyed me about this card being at 3 is like it's overstatted anyway, and like aggro road decks were running it, like not even as a tech, just like running it because it's well statted, but then also because it annoys these other decks. So yeah, it is kind of annoying at 3, but a really nice change, I guess, for any decks trying to find a little bit of that tech against the Reno decks. But yeah, we are going to see Archivist Elysiana go from 9 to 8. This is a card that's kind of not really seen play in Wild, but I'm pretty sure some odd warriors were running this as like a late game for the mirrors, but you can't run this anymore because it's not odd. But yeah, for me, I don't think I've actually ever played with this because I'm more of like an aggro sort of combo player. But Archivist going from 9 to 8, it doesn't really affect the card that much, and if a heavy control deck really wants to go that late into the game, sure, it's there for them. But games don't go that long in Wild anymore. People are just getting burnt down to the ground on like turn 5, or you know, getting OTK'd like earlier than Fatigue. So yeah, it's not really a massive change, but nice to see the card get a little bit of that mana cost reduction. And our last card here coming up in the reverts is Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. So in our current form, if your deck had no duplicates, you'd get 2 dragons in your hand and they would cost 1. It was obviously, you just usually slam her on 9 and then you'd have to wait a turn and just like waiting till turn 10 to play her to get a sort of low roll on a dragon that costs 1. It would be like sometimes we lose you the game, but now yeah, it's getting reverted back to its original released version, which was you get 2 dragons in your hand and they cost 0. So the power level just goes from like 1 to 100. It's honestly really powerful when they cost 0, so you can like coin out on 8 or slam it on 9. You know, this is like, decks that are running this are slower anyway, and they need like a big bomb later on. So having like just like huge power swing late game when you like, you know, you've kind of been waiting for, it's really great for the card. And obviously, like I've said a long time ago, like Dragon Queen Alex like turns on a lot of Reno decks and it kind of pushes like dragon strategy. So I always think of Mage like Dragon, like Dragon Reno Mage, so you've got, you know, all those cards that help the dragon stuff. So yeah, I can definitely see Dragon Queen Alex seeing play. It's going to push other Reno decks as well. Reno Hunter will probably come up again, especially with Dino Tamer change, and like yeah, other decks as well. So Dragon Queen Alex, fantastic. I'm really excited to be playing with that card again coming up in the recent changes. Alright guys, that does bring us to the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. I'm really excited about these changes. I'm looking forward to Starving Buzzard in particular, but let me know which ones you're excited about the most. And just very quickly before I go, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and check out the top link in the description for my Twitch. I stream over on Twitch Monday to Friday, 1 o'clock GMT, so make sure you come over and check that out and join in on all the fun. I'm going to be streaming all of this stuff when it's all released. Pretty sure the changes to this are coming out a few days before in patch 20.0, not a confirmed date yet, but the Baron set and the Classic mode is all coming out on the 30th of March, so there's going to be plenty of content over on my Twitch, so come in and join in on all of that. But thank you very much for watching guys, really hope you've enjoyed it, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.